What if I told you that the secret to a longer, happier life isn't tucked away inside a doctor's office or hidden in the pages of some thick medical book? What if the real secret is quietly living right inside the walls of a clean, cozy home? A home where every carefully made bed, every polished table, every neatly folded towel tells a silent story of strength, pride, and deep, deep care. Think about it. When you step into a senior's home that feels fresh, cared for, alive, it's like stepping into a sanctuary. It's not just about dusting or scrubbing floors. It's about preserving something much bigger: independence, health, dignity, the very things that make life worth living, even in the golden years. Today, we're not just talking about cleaning tips, we're uncovering the small daily rituals, the ones so easy to overlook, but that quietly weave protection into every corner of a home. Tiny habits that guard against loneliness, accidents, decline, things that threaten not the house, but the heart beating inside it. And I guarantee you, one of these daily habits is something you've probably never thought about before. It's small, almost invisible, but it holds the power to change everything. I promise when you hear it, it's going to stick with you. Because it's not just about keeping a home clean, it's about keeping a life strong. So stay with me, because over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 simple, powerful daily habits that seniors with clean, happy homes practice, and trust me, these aren't just tips. They're keys to living longer, loving better, and holding onto the things that matter most. You deserve to know them. Your loved ones deserve the life they can bring. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at a clean home the same way again. You know, at first glance, a clean home just looks like, well, a clean home. A tidy living room, a spotless kitchen, fresh sheets tucked neatly over a bed. It's easy to think it's just about tidiness, a little elbow grease, staying organized. But what if I told you it's so much deeper than that? What if the way a home is cared for is actually a mirror, reflecting things most people never even notice? Things like mental sharpness, emotional resilience, the hidden strength it takes to hold on to independence, even when life tries to chip away at it. You see, inside the quiet folds of a well-cared-for home, there are signs, little warnings, little victories. If you know how to look, they tell you everything about how a senior is really doing long before any blood test or doctor's visit ever could. And that's why today's habits matter so much more than you might realize, because these daily actions, they're not just routine, they're lifelines. The first daily habit we're about to talk about, it might seem almost too simple, so simple in fact, that most people would never think twice about it, but it's actually one of the very first indicators that the mind is still sharp, alert, connect. It's a small thing, but it holds the weight of a mountain when it comes to protecting independence over the years. And just when you think you've got it figured out, wait until you hear the next habit. Because the second habit, it's something even younger people in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s get wrong all the time. It's a hidden vulnerability, something so easily overlooked, yet it can snowball into bigger problems if no one's paying attention. Most folks won't see it coming. Most won't even realize it's happening until one day it's too late. But today, you're going to see it clearly. You're going to understand the warning signs, the protective habits, and the beautiful life-affirming rituals that can make all the difference. Because when we take care of the little things, we're not just maintaining a home, we're preserving memories, we're honoring a lifetime of hard work, we're giving back the love and dignity that every senior deserves, and sometimes just in time. So stay close, because the first habit we're diving into may just change the way you see daily life forever. I want to tell you about someone special. Her name was Mrs. Turner. She was the kind of woman who wore her history with grace, gentle smile lines around her eyes, a voice that always had a little melody in it when she spoke. Every single night, no matter how tired she was, no matter if her arthritis was flaring up, no matter if the day had been long or lonely, she would shuffle into that tiny kitchen of hers, run warm water into the sink, and wash every last dish by hand. Not a plate, not a spoon, not even the smallest coffee cup was left sitting overnight. At first, I'll be honest, it seemed almost obsessive, almost like she was clinging to something that didn't really matter. Mrs. Turner, I remember asking her once, "Why not just leave them till morning? Give yourself a break." She smiled that soft, knowing smile that only comes from a life lived through storms and sunshine, and she said, "Because if I let myself leave them once, it'll be easier to leave them again. And one day I'll wake up to a sink full of dishes and realize I gave up on myself." And you know what? One night that small habit made all the difference. When she felt unusually weak one evening, a sign of a deeper health issue that needed attention, she noticed right away because her routine felt off. She knew something wasn't right. She sought help the very next morning and caught something serious before it turned into something deadly. You see, this isn't just about clean dishes. It's never just about tidiness. It's about a daily check-in, a quiet little test of physical strength, a private pulse check on energy levels, a moment of connection with mental sharpness. When a senior stands at that sink every night, completing this small ritual, they're telling the world, "I'm still here, I'm still capable, I'm still taking care of myself." And yet, so many people misunderstand this. They assume that skipping the dishes once in a while is harmless. They think, oh, they're just tired, it's no big deal. But for seniors, that little skipped moment could be whispering something much louder. It could be the first quiet sign of slipping motivation. It could be an early hint of depression creeping in. It could even be the earliest warning that they're struggling more than they let on. That's why it matters. That's why these tiny moments are not so tiny after all. And if that surprised you, just wait until you see the next habit. Because it's something most people, yes, even the ones who mean well, never think about until it's already too late. Now let me tell you about another incredible person I once met. His name was Mr. Delaney. Every morning, right after breakfast, rain or shine, tired or not, he had a little ritual. He would pick just one small spot in his home. It could be a drawer full of old receipts, a shelf crammed with medicine bottles, a cabinet with pots and pans stacked from years of family dinner, and he would inspect it. Gently, patiently, almost like he was greeting an old friend. He'd pull things out, wipe them down, toss out anything expired or broken, and maybe even rearrange it a little better than before. It sounds simple, right? Just a drawer, just a shelf, just a few quiet minutes. But here's what most people don't realize. This wasn't just about keeping a tidy home. This was exercise, not for his arms or his legs, but for his mind. Every little decision he made. Do I need this? When did I use this last? Should this go in another place? Was a tiny workout for his memory, his focus, his judgment. You see, when you're young, those decisions happen almost without thinking, but as we age, the brain needs practice, real daily practice, to keep those skills sharp. And Mr. Delaney, he was training every single morning without ever stepping into a doctor's office. Sadly, a lot of families don't see it that way. They see a loved one fussing over an old junk drawer and think, oh, dad's just being picky again, or grandma's wasting time moving things around. But what they're missing, what they're not seeing, is that this tiny daily habit is a form of self-defense, a quiet rebellion against cognitive decline, a way of staying rooted, present, and in control, even as the years try to chip away at those abilities. So next time you see an elder carefully reorganizing a drawer or cleaning a forgotten corner, don't rush them. Don't tease them. Honor that moment, because it's more powerful than you know. And if you thought that was powerful, wait until you hear the next daily habit, because it's not just mental anymore, it's physical. And missing this one, it could quietly, dangerously, change everything you thought you knew about safety, health, and independence. You know, there's one story I'll never forget. It's about a man named Mr. Alvarez. Every evening, without fail, before he'd settle down to read his paper or watch a little television, he had this quiet habit he called doing the floor scan. He'd get up, slowly walk through his living room, down the hall, even into the kitchen, just looking for anything that didn't belong. A slipper kicked half off, a newspaper slid under the chair, a cord stretched a little too far across the floor. At first, even his own kids used to tease him a little. "Dad, you're being paranoid." They'd laugh. "You're not a clumsy old man." But Mr. Alvarez, he just smiled and kept doing his floor scan anyway. And one evening, that simple habit saved him. A heavy throw blanket had slipped off the back of the couch. Without anyone noticing, it had bunched up right where he usually walked to turn out the light. If he hadn't been scanning, if he hadn't noticed that bundle of cloth sitting right in his path, he could have tripped, fallen hard, and who knows what might have happened after that. You see, picking up tripping hazards isn't just about keeping a home looking nice. It's about protection, it's about freedom. Because one serious fall, it can take away so much more than your balance. It can steal your independence, your confidence, even your ability to live in your own home. Now, to younger eyes, this habit can seem like paranoia, like needless worrying, or moving around invisible dangers. But here's the truth. For seniors, falls are the leading cause of injury, not illness, not accidents out on the road. Falls, right there at home, in the place that's supposed to be safest of all. And here's what's even harder to think about. One fall doesn't just cause a bruise or a break, it can trigger a chain reaction. Hospital stays, surgeries, rehabilitation, and sometimes, losing the place you called home for decades. That's why a simple habit, a quick scan, a picked up shoe, a shifted rug, isn't small at all. It's an act of courage, an act of guarding a life full of memories, and of protecting tomorrow's dreams too. But if you think that's powerful, hold on, because the next daily habit goes even deeper, not just into the body, but into the emotional heart of why a clean home means so much. What we're about to talk about, it's something that touches dignity, self-worth, and hope, and most people never even realize it until it's gone. There's something powerful about the little things we choose to hold on to. Take Ms. Olivia for example, a woman full of grace, quiet wisdom, and more strength than she ever let on. Every morning, without fail, before she made her breakfast or tidied her kitchen, she would place a fresh flower, just one, into a tiny glass vase by her windowsill. Sometimes it was a bright yellow daisy she picked from her backyard. Other days, it might be a simple sprig of lavender from the market, but it was always there, always fresh, always intentional. Her home could have been spotless from top to bottom, beds made, counters wiped, everything tucked neatly into place, but that flower was non-negotiable. It wasn't about the decoration, it wasn't about impressing guests, it was something far deeper. That little flower was her anchor. It was a daily affirmation that life was still blooming, that beauty could still be found, even in the smallest corners of the day. It reminded her, and everyone who stepped into her kitchen, that she was still connected to the world, still participating in its rhythm, still rooted in hope. You see, many people mistake these anchor items for sentimentality, for little quirks, or harmless habits, but in truth, they're a form of emotional self-care. They're a lifeline, a choice, a powerful silent act of saying, I am still here, I am still me. Because aging can sometimes feel like losing little pieces of yourself, bit by bit, when loved ones pass, when mobility changes, when the world moves a little too fast. It's these anchor items that whisper, I'm still grounded, I still matter, I still belong. Whether it's a fresh flower, a favorite teacup set, just so, a treasured photograph dusted and straightened every morning. These aren't meaningless habits, they're daily acts of defiance against loneliness, they're bold declarations of dignity. And if you think that's beautiful, wait until you hear the last daily habit. Because it's the one that seems almost too ordinary to notice, yet hidden inside it, there's a discipline, a determination, and a secret strength that most people completely miss. Stick with me, because this last habit could change the way you see your own daily routines forever. Now, there's something you need to know about Mrs. Jeanette. Every afternoon at exactly 3:11 p.m., not 2:59, not 3:01, she would put on her soft worn-in sneakers, tie her apron, and spend exactly 15 minutes tidying one part of her home. It didn't matter if it was raining, it didn't matter if she had guests, it didn't matter if she felt tired, or if she wasn't expecting anyone to visit. That 15 minutes was sacred. It was treated with the same seriousness as a doctor's appointment, non-negotiable, no excuses, no I'll do it later. Now, to some family members, it looked a little stubborn, a little set in her ways, but if you looked closer, if you really understood, you'd see that those 15 minutes weren't just about picking up dust or folding a few towels. They were about ownership. They were about autonomy. They were about choosing every single day to take charge of her own environment, to care for her space, and by extension, for herself. You see, creating sacred time for self-maintenance is one of the most powerful ways seniors preserve their independence. It's a subtle but mighty act of saying, I am still responsible for myself. I still have control over my life. Because when we start giving up those small routines, those little appointments with ourselves, it can snowball. It can quietly chip away at our confidence, our motivation, our sense of purpose. And that's why these structured, consistent rituals are more than habits. They're anchors of resilience. It's easy, so easy for outsiders to see these actions and label them. They're just stuck in their routine. They don't like change. They're being fussy. But let me tell you something. Routines are not about stubbornness. They're about survival, mental health, pride, freedom. So the next time you see a loved one treating their little cleaning routine like an important meeting, know this: they're fighting in their own quiet, dignified way to stay independent, to stay strong, to stay themselves. And now that you've seen these 5 daily habits, the dish cleared before sleep, the tiny areas refreshed each morning, the vigilant picking up of hazards, the emotional anchors lovingly maintained, and the sacred cleaning appointments honored without fail, it's time to piece it all together. Because these aren't just random chores, they're clues, they're life-affirming rituals, they're the secret stitches that weave together a longer, healthier, more dignified life. Coming up next, we're going to explore exactly how you or someone you love can build these habits into your daily life, no matter your age. And trust me, it's simpler and more transformative than you might think. Now, imagine how easy it would be to miss all of this. How simple it would be to walk into a senior's home, see a few dusty corners, or a couple of forgotten dishes in the sink, and shrug it off as normal aging. We tell ourselves it's harmless. We tell ourselves it's just part of getting older. But what if it isn't? What if that little pile of mail that's been sitting unopened for a week? What if it's not laziness, but an early sign of mental fatigue? What if the untouched tripping hazards across the living room floor aren't just an accident waiting to happen, but a silent cry for help? You see, these habits we've talked about, they're not just about cleanliness, they're about life force, presence, vitality. Think about the seniors you know, the ones you visit every once in a while, the ones you call to check on, the ones you pass by without really looking close. How many of these 5 habits have you noticed? How many have you missed? It's not about blame. It's not about guilt. It's about really seeing what's happening beneath the surface. Because here's the beautiful truth. If you spot the subtle shifts early, you have the chance to change the story. You have the chance to step in before the crisis, before the fall, before the emergency hospital visit, before the desperate call in the middle of the night. You have the chance to be the gentle hand that helps them maintain control over their own life. Because real help, true meaningful help, isn't about rushing in and taking over. It's about partnering, supporting, empowering. When you notice that the dishes are left undone, instead of scolding, you can gently ask, "Are you feeling tired lately? Would you like me to help set up an easier routine?" When you see clutter gathering, instead of judging, you can say, "Let's refresh this space together." Just one drawer at a time. When the anchor item, the flower, the photo, the favorite decoration goes missing, you can ask, "What's been on your mind lately? Would you like to pick something new together?" You see, it's never about the home. It's always about the human, the soul living inside those walls. And here's the even greater secret. You don't need to wait for things to get back. You can help reinforce these 5 habits right now, today, by encouraging them, supporting them, celebrating them. You can turn daily chores into daily victories. You can turn aging into thriving. You can turn fear into freedom. Because the earlier you see it, the sooner you act, the stronger they stay, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. A clear home is a clear mind. A clear mind is a strong spirit, and a strong spirit can weather any. So next time you visit, next time you call, next time you wonder how someone you love is really doing, don't just look at the surface. Look for the clues, look for the habits, and remember what they truly mean. You have more power than you realize to help protect independence, to preserve dignity, to honor the beauty of aging.
with grace, strength, and deep, unwavering love. Here's the hard truth. When we overlook these small daily habits, when we shrug them off, when we delay checking in just one more week, we open the door to consequences far heavier than we ever intended. A missed dish today might not seem important, a cluttered drawer might feel harmless, a forgotten anchor item might barely register at first, but over time, those tiny cracks in the foundation widen, and suddenly without warning, the fall happens, the hospital stay begins, the confusion sets in, the sadness deepens, the independence fades away, piece by piece. Ignoring these daily signs isn't just ignoring clutter, it's ignoring the early warnings of cognitive decline, the beginnings of isolation, the seeds of depression, and once those roots dig deep, they are heartbreakingly difficult to pull out. It starts so quietly. One forgotten day, one missed check-in, one assumption that they're fine, until the call comes, the emergency, the frantic rush, the regrets flooding in. But listen closely, because here's the hope. The powerful, beautiful hope. It doesn't have to end that way. You can change the story. You can step in now, today, before any cracks widen. You can be the reason someone holds on to their autonomy longer. You can be the silent guardian behind their continued strength. You can help write a better, safer, more joyful chapter for the ones you love, or for yourself. Every time you notice a habit being kept alive, every dish washed, every corner refreshed, every trip hazard cleared, every emotional anchor maintained, every daily cleaning appointment honored, you're not just witnessing routine, you're witnessing resilience, you're witnessing pride, you're witnessing life itself refusing to dim. And every time you notice a habit slipping, you have the chance to respond with love, not judgment, with support, not shame, with a gentle hand extended, saying, I see you, I'm here, you're not alone. Because at the end of the day, aging isn't about decline, it's about transition, it's about evolving strength, and it's about how we together choose to honor that strength. So if you remember anything from today, remember this: the little things, they are never they are the lifelines, they are the signals, they are the sacred bridges between thriving and merely surviving. So let's take a breath and pull it all together. 5 daily habits, 5 simple, seemingly small routines. But when you step back, when you really look, you realize these habits aren't about having a tidy kitchen or a clean floor. They're about something far deeper. They're about protecting health, preserving happiness, guarding pride, and defending the dignity that every aging soul deserves. And here's the twist: it's not the grand gestures that keep independence alive, it's the small, quiet daily acts, the kind that seem invisible at first glance, but over time, they become the very foundation of strength, resilience, and joy. Now I want to hear from you, truly. Which of these habits do you think is the most overlooked? Is it the quiet clearing of trip hazards, the emotional anchor hidden in plain sight, or maybe it's the simple act of scheduling a cleaning time, like a sacred appointment? Have you seen any of these habits in your own family? Maybe in a parent, a grandparent, or even starting to appear in yourself? Let's start a real conversation in the comments below, because the more stories we share, the more insights we gather, the better prepared we are to support those we love, and to care for ourselves with grace. And if you found even a spark of value in today's journey, please subscribe to Elder Mature Moments. Hit that like button. It might seem like a small click, but together, those little clicks build a community where knowledge flows, hope grows, and care deepens. And whatever you do, stay close, because in our next episode we're stepping into a truly eye-opening topic. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of those you love, and remember, it's the little things done daily, with heart, that make all the difference.